Yes, my people. It's another episode of Blocks with Bags, a show where entrepreneurs get together and give you gems and hacks around building your business, investing, and working with creators. I'm your boy Beej.
I'm your boy Sab.
And in this episode, we have the one and only Safiya, someone who I've known for a couple of years now. I saw her at first working at a startup when we had an accelerator called Super Campus many years ago. I've watched her trajectory. She's always finding really interesting solo and group trips to do abroad. She's always constantly learning, always constantly sharing resources with each other. And I've come to learn recently that she's just out here doing something similar to what my boy Seb's doing in the VC world, a whole different VC from a marketing level. So in this episode, we're gonna break down some gems in marketing. We're gonna break down some gems in culture, and just have a quick knick-knack on things that you could be doing in 2023 to get yourselves more seen and more traction.
Really, really good to be here.
Welcome to the show, Safiya.
Thank you for having me here.
Welcome. All right, cool. You know, I've been excited to talk about VC and marketing. You know,
Amazing.
I'm ready to go. Let me just jump right in.
Yeah,
So we linked up at one of our events that we kind of hosted, opening of Huckle Tree in Oxford Circus. And like when you were telling me your kind of story, I was like, wait, what?
I've
You
heard
work
this
in?
before.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, wait, you work in VC marketing? I was like, what? And like breaking it down, especially because we're both from East Africa as well, I think that was like such an amazing thing to see, because I rarely come across someone, let alone like someone from Africa, like East Africa in this kind of world. Like it was brazy. So tell us about your journey into like, how did you end up in VC marketing? Like, and what other marketing stuff do you do as well? Real quick.
Yeah, no, quick little elevator pitch. So I actually started my career, a couple years ago now. So like around 20 years old, really, where I, was working for a startup, and they were like a video on demand startup, and pretty much an idea on a piece of tissue. And I pretty much grew their audience, like learned so much about marketing and just learning a lot about the ins and outs of the startup, and just wearing loads of many hats in terms of like growing that business and seeing how the impact was gonna kind of grow within that. So we did that for a bit, and I learned so much about startups. I actually got accepted into the Google Startup Accelerator 2019, if I remember. And that was like the first time where I realized and I learned so much about the tech world. I was around founders that were raising millions, you know,
pounds,
and I was like 20 years old, 21 years old at the time, hearing these conversations. I'm working on my little laptop, and I'm just hearing all these conversations, and I'm like, I want a piece of that. I want to learn more about that. It's really interesting. That kind of influenced my, my step into my career. And I've always wanted to do things for my own. So I've always been inspired by like entrepreneurs. BJ's great, like he's very inspirational, great guy, like being around others who are very much like self-starters, do things on their own. Essentially I started consulting for SaaS companies. So I went from just working
What's SaaS? Break it down for the people that don't know.
SaaS is like pretty much software companies, right? So and it's a whole industry out there in terms of a lot of venture capital goes into software companies, and there's a whole kind of game to be played within that. So I learned a lot about SaaS, and then combining my passion for marketing with software and tech then enabled me to really kind of pivot my ideas and then learn about like what I wanted to do as a business. So I went from wanting to grow a consultancy to then wanting to grow a tech company, and essentially my marketing technology business, which I'm looking to kind of grow and get funding for at the moment, and really kind of growing that vision, that story further. But it really landed me perfectly to where I am now in 2023, where there's so much opportunity. There's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of venture capital out there, as we know. Just learning about where I sit within all of that ecosystem. It's been great journey. For sure.
So you followed the money, ended up in VC. What kind of lessons can you give to our sort of audience? I know you said you were interested in SaaS, but from our conversation, you've worked with all sorts of business, and like your marketing is sick. So 2023, we've talked about, in our previous episodes, marketing for individuals, for creators, for musicians. How would you do it for someone who has an agency or is trying to do like a B2B type marketing play? Because that seems to be what you're kind of into.
Yeah, I mean, I think firstly, the most important thing in marketing is obviously is your customer, right? So it's about your audience, your customer, really learning about the ins and outs of that persona, building an idea about that and getting under that properly. And yeah, I think B2B marketing is very tactical. In the early stages, it's about like, I'm not sure if you've heard of these things like ICPs.
Yeah, ideal customer profile,
forming a persona and like a background story of your customer, really breaking down that vision. And then thinking about the different ways that you want to go about acquiring that, like what are the routes to market initially? Because like in the early stages, like you don't know if your business is even viable. Like you don't know if this product is even, you know, if there's going to be traction, if it's going to be liked, what's the feedback from the customer going to be? So it's about doing really kind of nimble things in the early stages and also moving like really quickly as well.
I hear that. That's hard. So we're talking about, boom, you've got your idea / you're starting your business in 2023. How can you kind of use marketing and like some of the lessons that you're talking about from B2B SaaS kind of world? And the first one is like, I guess you had finding your ideal customer profile. And to do that, you kind of need to do some customer research and test. Is that what you're saying? Like test if your idea is even feasible. So before you even try to even market your product, like it's good to do like customer research, right? Yeah. So how would you do that in a very nimble, like inexpensive way for someone who might not have hundreds of thousands of pounds of backing from venture capitalists to start their business?
I think the most important thing in the early stages is having conversations with your customer. So things like focus groups have been very effective for me in terms of like running small events with customers and with people to come and test products. So either things like user testing, getting feedback in the early stages, like most important thing. Like there's people who have, you know, raised venture capital off just an idea. You're lucky if that's what you can do. Or some of us were not in privileged positions and we don't really look the part to be doing stuff like that. It's not going to run.
Say that again.
None of this Theranos
we need a bit more than just like ourselves and our finesse that's going to come and like convince people to give us money to start businesses. So if you don't have the traction, it's really important that you do as much as possible to get in front of your audience, get out there, speak to people. And there's a lot you can do physically and also in the digital world as well, you know, online, social media, networking. BJ is a great networker. It's great to really understand who your customer is and really getting out there and building that audience really. And I think it's all brand awareness in the initial stages. And then once you kind of fine tune what your business is and you know like what it is and where you want to kind of take it, that's when you can spend a bit of money and really understand like your funnel, you know, and see how you can take people on that journey, etc., and get them to do things for you, whether it's like attend an event or test something or you know, purchase a free trial or whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do. That's when you can take them through that journey.
Hard. So in terms of like getting to that next stage, you've tested your idea, you've got feedback, you're generating a bit of traction. Where do you spend that first bit of money? Or when do you know when to spend that first bit of money? Because a lot of people, like spending money is actually like a growth hack that's kind of not talked about sometimes. You're doing good. It can really accelerate your product into getting into the right hands of the right people once you've got product market fit and things like that. But what's your take on like spending money, early stage business? Like where would you kind of be spending it on and when do you know?
I think research and development is very important in terms of really kind of researching your business, but then also researching into your product as well. I think if I had the opportunity to like you've got the funding to grow a business, it's at a stage where it's investor ready. The most important thing is to think about your business operationally as well. Like, is it a scalable model? Is it something that can grow? Is it feasible?
That's when you start really asking like
Yeah.
Do I need to?
Where do I put money? What's going to return and give me like the best kind of return on my investment? Okay. Marketing is obviously very important, but there are other areas as well in your business that you need to invest in. But I think in terms of from a marketing perspective, in the initial stages is I think marketing technology is very important. Like getting the foundations in check from the beginning, because I've worked with so many startups.
You know a bit of marketing technology yourself as well, yeah.
Yeah, like they look on that like year 2, year 3, and then it's like by then they've got all this customer data. Everything's it's a messy shop, you know, nothing centralized. It's all they need someone external to come in and like fix their problem. They don't really know what they're doing. So I think it's really important about getting your ducks in a row very early.
Okay, and tell me about VC marketing a bit. Let's have a little quick conversation around that.
Yeah, sure.
What kind of things have you been kind of doing? Have you been working in portfolio with the actual VCs themselves and like?
So it's more the kind of fundraise side of it. So I am predominantly on the kind of fundraising side. So multiple different VCTs, things like EIS, SEIS, different kind of portfolios, and I'd call them in a very simple way like buckets of investments, right? Nice, okay. So working with advisors and investors, it's always meant that people that don't look like me. Yeah. So like loads of white men, big suits, big bank accounts. We love them because they have a lot of money. But it's kind of getting them to understand the importance of making sure that their clients' money is gonna stay invested and where they can invest that money. And then on the flip side, so there's the fundraise side. On the flip side, I'm sure you know about deployment, seeing opportunities, working with founders of all different walks of life that are maybe very early stages in their business, or they are a bit further on. They might have raised a few rounds, etc. It's a very people environment. Like it's also very personal. Like money's something that's very personal and so important for everyone. And it's great that I can be a part of that and also get my input in terms of the experiences that I've had in the startup world as well.
And what are some of your favorite social media? What are some of your favorite like marketing hacks that you've seen in 20? Are there any that you've seen in 2023 which you thought, okay, there's like super duper cool?
Yeah, I've kind of shied away from the kind of creator economy stuff, because I know you're quite big on that. Like quite a lot about that side of things, and influencers, and like I kind of tapped out of all of that. But yeah, like there's that whole industry has been created, and just like it's a whole new world, isn't it? So I mean, it's really interesting, really fascinating. And just seeing how people are creating opportunities for themselves on the internet.
We were having a little conversation around that, personal branding, accelerating our own thing,
Yeah, defo. But yeah, I'd say probably like, I think just how personal brands, and I guess how businesses also can come together to form something as well. I think that's like quite interesting to see how like a brand, your personal brand, can impact the business, and also like companies like Gymshark, like he's obviously the youngest
billionaire in the UK right now.
Youngest billionaire in the UK. Like I think he was just recently was on the Forbes list as well. So like people like that, and seeing how their personal brand, he can still be himself and has a very much very lucrative and successful business, and seeing how those two things kind of come together as well. Because like obviously his company has grown, but a lot of it is up from his brand and his person. He knows his customer, like they're all young people. And you think of the gym, you think of him. So it's quite cool.
And on that note, I seen it live with the previous company I was at, with Fanbytes. They had a maverick of a CEO called Timo, and his personal brand was like really, really strong, and I could really see like how much like leads and business it was driving for the kind of company. And people always just ignore that. They think, people are just building personal brand for the sake of a personal brand and vanity metrics, but it can really impact your business and like drive more revenue, more customers, more clients. And it's definitely something that we should be working on. Watch this space, by the way. Keep locked. 2023.
Keep locked.
Yeah. We got some very, very interesting products and things coming out around this kind of topic. But yeah.
Exciting.
This was a short but sweet one.
Love that. Yeah.
If you've liked what you've seen, comment, like, share, subscribe.
Spread the love.
Spread the love. If you like Safiya, drop that in the comments, and maybe she might come back on to share more of her marketing gems. We'll see. So
absolutely.
Yeah, this has been another episode of Blocks to Bags.
Blocks to bags.
That's right, guys.
Bags to blocks.
B2B, by the way. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you, guys.